team targets. All the best to everybody at iRacing Brazil.
Silvestro, and I hope all the iRacers in Brazil are having a lot of fun on iRacing.
Hi, I'm Justin Wilson. Want to say hello to all the iRacers down in Brazil. Hope you have fun, enjoy the racing, take it easy.
Hey, I'm Wyatt Gooden, and iRacing Brazil, awesome league. You guys are great, cool league.
Mandar abraço aí pro pessoal do iRacing Brasil, continue jogando aí.
Aí galera, eu sou o Hélio Castro Neves, fique ligado no iRacing Brasil. Vamos lá, Brasil!
Vamos lá.
Round number 7 of the 2013 16 Street Racing League, and the drivers are back home again in Indiana, making their first of 2 trips to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, starting on the road course. Now, Matt Cook still leads the championship after a good finish last time out. However, the gap between the drivers out front is beginning to narrow, and with Joshua Chin winning his first race of the season last time out, he is trying to make himself a championship contender. Tim Holgate, Courtney Tell, they sat second and third in the championship right now. They will be looking for good finishes here today to try and close that gap up to Matt Cook as we prepare ourselves for the Indy 400 taking place in 2 weeks' time. Today, the drivers will be running for 50 laps around this 2.61 13-turn racetrack, and it all starts with qualifying. Half of the drivers have already qualified. The drivers with odd-numbered cars are currently on the racetrack. Wilvinson along with Aaron Likens, as we've got ourselves about 5 minutes left of qualifying. And we are looking right now, Aaron, at that battle for pole position. Ryan Murray is currently on provisional pole position. However, Joshua Chin is on the racetrack, and he is on a flying lap.
He is on a flying lap. He has looked good the first half of this track. The real time, though, can he get through the turns 9, 10, 11? The turn he's in right now. That left-hander, which he gets through good use of the curb, and it looks like he's going to have cleared track coming to the line, so this could be a pole run right here, Will.
Indeed, yeah, he's going to work himself onto the banking, and this will be for pole position if he can get it together. Sector 1 was good, Sector 2 was good, holding it down below that white line, as you do on the oval, comes past start finish line. What's the time going to be for Joshua Chin? And it is a 1:14.8, so wasn't that fast. He's going to do another lap, though.
Yeah, going to do another lap, and there's still about 3.5 minutes to go, so he really might be able to get 2-3 more laps in, so it depends on how much fuel he has in, but starting on pole here is going to be very important, and we heard him, there he goes off the track, so there's still time, though. Let's see if he can get the car back in the pits and back out. He will have one more shot at it.
Ryan Murray is on provisional pole position. However, he has done all the laps in 10 minutes that he was allocated as an even-numbered car. So we'll run through your top 5 very quickly. It's Ryan Murray from Joshua Chin, from Tim Holgate, from Frank Levesque, the 4th, and then Dennis Garis is your 5th place driver. And all those guys, except for Chin, that is them locked in with their qualifying times now. Got some new names in the series here today. You've got Frank Levesque, of course, and you've also got James Winbanks making his first appearance in the 2013 16th Street Racing League, but also Marco Viitanen in the 777 car, former Team Afterburn driver, now running for Glacier Racing. He's no stranger to the IndyCar, and when he gets in this thing, he can be pretty fast.
Can be very fast, and I don't think, unlike what we saw at Barber last week where the field got really strung out and Josh Chin just put a beating on everybody, I think this race we're going to have some people in the middle of the pack work their way up. I think it's going to be a much more competitive race than it was last week, and we got drivers that can certainly win races starting further behind 5th place, so I think we're going to see a great race, and here comes Josh Chin about to start his flying lap, and he should be able to get in 2 laps here if he doesn't go off.
Indeed, yeah, there is a little bit of traffic ahead of him. I see some smoke at turn number 1 as well. Someone did a 360. There's a car right on the apex of turn 1 and 2. Now, Chin avoided it. However, you're coming into a corner at that speed, you always get a little bit blindsided, and there is a car ahead as well who is going slower than Joshua Chin. That is Brian Simpson in the number 7 car, and Chin's going to have to dive to the inside. You can see he was in a hurry there. Of course, he can't slow down too much because he has to beat the clock back to the line as well.
He's got to beat, and not only that, the car in front of him now is Marco Viitanen, which the gap he is in, this could really benefit Joshua Chin, because if they both finish the next lap as the current gap between Chin and Marco, he may be able to get a bit of a tow out of the final corner, which that would be a big advantage here.
Paul Jenkins also on the racetrack, as is Kerry Bettenhausen. Brian Simpson is off the racetrack. That is down at turn number 13. And so Josh Chin is working himself with banking right now. Marco Viitanen, let's see first whether he can improve on his current qualifying time. Sat in 9th position, and he improves his time, but not his position. Josh Chin comes past the stripe. No faster for him. This will be his final lap. He's going to have to bring it down to turn number 1. Viitanen does not do another lap, so that tow that you're just talking about there is not going to work for Joshua Chin. Now McBride, he's spinning his car, and that is at turn number 4 by the look of it. Mark Schutte is on the racetrack. Matt Kingsbury, Ray Kingsbury are both on the racetrack as well. So a busy last moment as the checkered flag will be out to signify the end of qualifying in about 10 seconds time. Any driver on a lap, they are going to be able to do that lap. Ray Kingsbury, I don't think he's going to beat it back to the line. It's going to be mighty close. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't, but Joshua Chin's still on that lap, and this is a good position for Chin. He has 2nd pretty much locked up unless somebody can pull something out, so he can let it all hang out here. He can go for it. He can go for the pole, and Ryan Murray last week in the interview says he wants to be mentioned as a championship contender, and if he can start from pole and get maximum points this race, he might just do that. But coming up, Joshua Chin, can he take away those pole bonus points? Here he comes.
He'll come through the final corner. He was abusing the curb quite a lot as he came through those 2 90-degree left-handers. He's coming all the way to the wall. Will he get it? No, he won't. Ryan Murray, pole position there. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to get a replay of it. However, it was down after that back stretch. He took a lot of curb there. and it did look as though the car was starting to step out on him. I think that is what cost him as he came through the second of those right-handers. Yeah, and I think that just cost him a tenth or so, and that was pole position down the drain for him.
Yeah, and he actually did improve that lap. He did improve upon his previous best, but it was not enough, so Ryan Murray is going to be your pole sitter here. And I think starting from pole here, looking at the times, we have less than 6/10 from first to sixth, which is a big contrast from last week at Barber, so I think we're in store for a great show here.
We are indeed, and we will start running through your race grid. Row number 1, Ryan Murray, his first pole position of the season, qualifying time a 1:14.320. Joshua Chin will line up alongside him in row number 1. Row number 2, Tim Holgate and Frank Levesque IV. Row number 3, Dennis Grace and James Swimbanks. Anthony Kernick and Matt Cook in row number 4. Marco Viitanen and Courtney Terrell in row number 5. Row 6, David Stockrider, Michael DeTemple, Randy Crosno, Mark Schaefer in row 7. Eric Davis, Nell McBride in row number 8. The rest of qualifying times will be coming up on your screen momentarily, and it's a rolling start even here, Aaron, compared to the standing starts that we've had at the 2 previous road course events. That means these cars are going to be going a lot faster down into turn number 1. 90-degree right-hander, then a 90-degree left-hander. Always the potential for carnage down there.
Always a potential. Formula One, when they raced here, typically at least 2, 3, 4 cars had contact, and today we're hoping for a clean start, but they're gonna be going in there 180, maybe 190 miles an hour. 31 cars scheduled to start this race, and the way these starts are depending on when the leader goes, what you can get. You can get an accordion effect. The back of the field's going to be going faster into turn 1 than the front, and then all carnage can break loose.
Don't forget the Will and Dave show every Friday, 4 PM Eastern on Glacier TV. It is the IndyCar community's comedy weekly show every single week, I say, on Glacier TV, 4 PM, the Will and Dave show. Now, having a look through this field, there are some people that we need to keep our eyes on. Of course, we have got that top 3 battle, Ryan Murray, Josh Chin, and Tim Holgate, but down the field as well, Matt Cook, of course, championship leader, only qualified in 8th, so he's going to be more in the pack than what he was in the last race, so have to keep an eye out on him. Keep an eye out on Courtney Terrell as well. He's starting 10th on the course. He is still in that championship mix. And having a look through the field as well, you have got a couple of people who are out of place. People like Joe Branch, for example. Terry Mattinson. I believe that Mattinson's starting from pit road. John Porsick is slow qualifying for him. And you expected some of these guys to be a little bit further up. Some people have made some very good qualifying laps. Of course, over a 50-lap race, it really is a case of get yourself through those first couple of laps, then think about racing.
Oh, absolutely. And we don't know, maybe some of these teams really maybe more focused on a race setup than a qualifying setup here. This track can be tricky to set up with that long straightaway. You really got to figure out what type of downforce you want. The middle of the section, well, really the last third of the section before you get back on the banking, very, very slow, very, very tight corners. And then you have one of the longest straightaways that we're going to see. So perhaps I'm thinking a lot of drivers that I see, John Porzak, Paul Jenkins, both of those drivers have been having great road racing runs, and I'm going to expect to see that. I think we're going to see a lot of attrition here. I really do. I think some of these drivers might be running a very tricky setup, and the first few laps maybe on fresh tires are going to be tricky. So this is going to be good, but it's all going to start with how do they get through turn 1, and we already have cars going off the track.
Indeed we have, and that is Anthony Kernick. I wonder if there was actually an incident there. I think he did get rear-ended by Marco Viitanen as they came through the slow section. We'll keep our eye out on that. Well, of course, we've got to see if Kernick is going to come back into play. I believe that he is going to. However, the field is stacked up behind the iRacing.com first safety car. It's going to make that journey down towards pit road any moment now, and we are going to begin the 7th round of the 2013 16th Street Racing League. Track temperature 78 degrees, wind speed 2 miles an hour to the north. Race humidity is 55 laps. 50 laps worth of racing getting set to go underway. Ryan Murray bolts early, green flag in the air, and Tim Holgate gets to jump on Joshua Chin as well. as they all storm down into turn number 1 for the first time. Chin is nowhere near close enough, but Holgate is going to try and look down to the inside. No, he won't. And another car there. I believe that is actually Frank Levesque. He's trying to go around the outside. He's going to the inside line into the next corner. Chin goes wide, and that is going to allow Levesque to go past. And now Dennis Carise might try to make it 3 wide down into turn number 4. Chin holds on to that 3rd position, and now Carise is going to be able to get himself down the inside there of the Vec, and that is a great battle in your top 3 or 4 cars. I'm having a look. It looks like for the most part, everyone was able to get through the first couple of corners okay. Dave Jinks is just coming up pit road, and he is at the rear of the field. But what a great start there by both Murray and Holgate, and Chin was under pressure in those first couple of laps.
What a great start, and Ryan Murray has fallen to second. Holgate has taken the lead, so Holgate's off.
Holgate's off.
Can he keep it off the wall? Yes, he can, but that's going to have championship implications. What a great start, but to throw it away, and that's a driver that typically doesn't make mistakes, and we said last week at Barber, he just kept overcooking and sliding. He had an incredible race of saves, and already on lap 1, an unforced error.
And the replay is up on your screen, and say it's through the 90-degree left, right, left flick. And it just looked as though he got himself a little bit wide on cold tyres. Always easy to happen. And he falls down to 5th position after actually leading coming into that portion of the racetrack. So right now, it's Murray from Jim, from Carise, from Levesque, from Holgate. Swinbanks is 6th. Koenig is in 7th. Courtney Tell is in 8th. Matt Cook is down in 9th. And David Sockrider rounds out your top 10. So a good start from Courtney Tell. He is up 2 positions from where he started. But Ryan Murray is once again your race leader. And this is one thing that we are going to have to talk about. We have got, of course, that incredibly long front straightaway. And people are running on different configurations of downforce. If you want a low configuration of downforce, then you're going to fall back a little bit. And this section of the racetrack is Murray goes a little bit sideways through turn number 8. However, from about now, Joshua Chin is going to have the advantage so long as he can get himself on that power. And you might see some guys really closing up on this front section. And this is going to be a great indication as we come past the start finish line. And as we come down to turn number 1, we'll give you the trap speeds for Ryan Murray, Josh Chin and Dennis Carise, because this is going to be a critical factor in this race. Ryan Murray up to 179 miles an hour. Joshua Chin only able to do 180 down into turn number 1. Ryan Murray's about 3 miles an hour faster in a straight line than Joshua Chin. And Dennis Carise is only a mile an hour faster than Chin there as well, as Holgate's been able to get himself past Levesque up into the 4th position right now. I'm going to have a look at the trap speeds also for Tim Holgate, because he was doing 186 miles an hour down into turn number 1. That car is trimmed out.
And that could be what caused him to have issues on that first lap. Running a very low downforce section in the tightest corner, that's where he had issues. And wow, Holgate looks like he is really closing in on the top 3. And definitely he does have the time. What we've seen with Holgate last race, once he made a mistake, it was just a mistake after mistake. Hopefully he's learned from that last week, and already he's been able to get back up into 4th place. So maybe that's his one error and he can have a clean race, and I think he's going to be a contender by the end of this. He's going to get back up there for sure.
And in many ways, he was pretty lucky in the fact that he was able to have that unforced error while the field was very close together. So yes, he did lose a couple of positions, but at the same time, he didn't lose too much time. He didn't lose too much contact with the race leaders, as we are right now going to be working ourselves onto lap number 4 in this race. Last time by a 1:15.4 for Tim Holgate, 1:15.4 for Dennis Carise, 1:14.5 for Josh Chin, and a 1:15.0 for Ryan Murray. So he was a lot slower that last lap. And for Murray, of course, it's very difficult to get past on this first sector of the racetrack. And unless Murray makes a mistake, it does look as though that he might have the better of Chin in that straight line. So that's something we're going to have to bear in mind on, because Chin can, of course, try and force that error from Ryan Murray. But he's a very accomplished driver, of course, former 16 shoot champion, and he really doesn't make that many mistakes himself.
No, very, very solid driving style, as he had a nice save there. It looks like he locked up and was able to maintain control. There have been critics of this track saying, you know, this road course isn't the most exciting or most elevation changes, but in terms of setting up a car, this is going to be a great race to watch unfold, because which strategy is going to work? Josh Chin, it looks like he is running a little bit more downforce, but as long as he can stay in the draft, that advantage really is negated because he now doesn't have this, he has the draft, so now Ryan Murray can, well, Chin can just stay there, and as long as, well, what I'm trying to say is Chin can stay there on the straightaway. Eventually, I think he's going to be able to get past Murray, but then once they get back around and Murray has that draft, well, this could be a back-and-forth battle all race long.
Well, yeah, if Chin gets past as Murray goes sideways, that's going to allow Josh Chin to perhaps look down to the inside. No, he doesn't. But if Chin does get past, he needs to eke out a 1 second gap in the lap before they get to that start-finish line. Otherwise, Murray could be going right back past, and we saw that with Holgate's pass there on Frank Levesque early on. But Chin is all over the rear of Ryan Murray, and of course, if you're going to run a low downforce setup, his tyres are going to fall away more. The car is going to slip slide every single lap. On a high downforce car, as soon as those tyres come up to temperature, you're going to have a lot more confidence in the car. Be able to get onto the throttle earlier, be able to take more speed through the corners. And Joshua Chin does look as though he is currently in that catbird seat, running in second position in that 93 car. To give you an update on some guys who are not doing as well as they would have hoped in this race. Marco Beaton in that 777 car, he qualified for this race in the 9th position. He's running all the way down in the 15th spot right now. And Randy Quosno has moved back a couple of positions as well from where he qualified. And a couple of people had good starts. Courtney Tell had a good start to this race, but he's fallen back down into the 9th position now. He was running up in, I believe, the 7th or 8th position in this race. But again, as soon as he got into that front straightaway, Ryan Murray was able to eke out a bit of a gap over Joshua Chin. However, they have started to pull away from Dennis Garise. And of course, Tim Holgate is closing down to Dennis a little bit now. That last time he was a full 8/10 of a second faster on the racetrack. So plenty of battles going on with your front couple of drivers. However, Frank Levesque, of course, he qualified for this race in 4th, has fallen down now to P5, and behind, great battle between two Australian drivers, Anthony Koenig and James Winbanks. And not very often we get two Aussies in this race, but James Winbanks is running today, and Koenig is giving him a lot of run for his money right now.
And he is right behind him, and interesting, they take different lines there, but they really come out at about the same point in time. Will Koenig be able to use the draft here and maybe make a run on Swinbanks? He's there, but it looks like perhaps Swinbanks might be on the lower downforce setup, but we'll get a gauge here as they come through turn 13 and onto the main straightaway.
Indeed, yeah, and it does look like Koenig is getting a little bit of a run. You can see the gap is come down to about 2 car lengths, 181, 182 miles an hour compared to 180 miles an hour. Will Koenig try and stick it down the inside? It'll be the last late breakers, but no, he won't. So he falls back into line, but Koenig is a little bit faster in a straight line than Swinbanks. He would have had a bit of relief there, seeing that on the front stretch, knowing that if he is just a little bit closer, gets a better run maybe out of turn 11, then he can try and make that pass. But he's all over the rear of Swinbanks in these slow corners, so they almost come together there. And that's going to cost Koenig about 3 car lengths. And also, Matt Cook isn't far behind. Now, for Matt Cook and Courtney Terrell, they don't want to be involved if there's an incident with these two drivers. They want to get past, of course, but they don't want to be taken out in anybody that goes on ahead of them.
Oh, certainly, and those two drivers are in the championship hunt. Of course, Matt Cook is our championship leader. Courtney Terrell, he's missed a few races, so if he has been able to run all the races, he very well could be the championship leader. So this battle between the two of them, or rather 4 cars here, with Cook and Terrell being championship contenders. For Cook and Terrell, I think Cook was hoping for definitely a better qualifying time here, but for right now, he's got to be points racing.
Tell you what though, we missed it. We'll have to get ourselves a replay of this. The battle for the race lead, they were side by side there, coming out of turn number 11. Joshua Chin was able to get alongside and had the inside line through turn number 13. They were side by side on that run to the start or finish line. This is a really good indication of just how fast Ryan Murray is in a straight line. Yes, Joshua Chin did clip the curb a little bit, and that actually cost him a couple of hundredths of a second and a tiny bit of momentum. He actually didn't cut the curb at all, but Murray was able to drive away as soon as they got into that front stretch and was a good 3 miles an hour faster. That is the issue that Joshua Chin is going to have to deal with in this race here today.
for Josh Chin to win this race, if they stay this close the entire race, Joshua Chin is going to have to be leading coming out of turn 12 into 13 by a good margin. If they stay this close, this long, Chin is not going to be able to make a pass coming to the line.
But Dennis Gareis and Tim Holgate, they are side by side right now. And Holgate on the outside, exactly the same way that Ryan Murray was able to get the pass done. Holgate was able to get the pass done there on Dennis Gareis.
The Holgate on the move. Of course, he had that unforced error on lap 1, but now he is closing in. And I think over the past 3-4 laps, he might be the fastest car in the racetrack. Now that he has clean track in front of him, let's see what he does with the front two. But I'm sure Ryan Murray has a mirror full of Joshua Chin and knows Joshua Chin is there, and that can slow you down. Murray knows he's got to run clean laps here. He can't mess up this infield section, and I'm sure as a driver, the degree of difficulty as Ryan Murray gets wheel spin, can Joshua Chin make a move here?
Yes, and he will go down to the inside, and Joshua Chin is going to perhaps get the lead of the race. He will for the time being, but this is now going to be a critical factor. We've got smoke ahead as well, and a slow car. This might help out Chin a tiny bit, getting a little bit of a draft, but you'll see, as they come through turn number 11, from now on, it's going to be advantage Ryan Murray. He did struggle to get the power on just a little bit, and that is the 33 car of Vic Cordial there, who was a slow car. It looks like he's had some issues. We'll come back to that in a little while, but can Ryan Murray close up that gap? Look how quickly he's doing this. He's going to go to the outside. Goes to the outside, gets the pass done. Game over. Ryan Murray back to the race lead. And the important thing is, though, for Chin, he did lead that lap by 1/10 of a second. So he'll bear that in mind, and he goes back down to the inside. What a good move there by Josh Chin. He knew he had to force his way through, but Ryan Murray is going to try and cut back. Not quite close enough.
This has been the best road racing action we have seen all season, if not in a long time. This battle looks like it's going to be raging the entire race. As long as Murray can stay within maybe even a second, Murray's going to be able to just blow by. It was about a 10-mile-an-hour difference on the straightaway. I don't think Chin, which strategy is going to play out. If Murray can keep the wheels underneath that car, I think he's got this. But still, so much action. We saw 40 laps to go, Will.
Indeed, and I tell you what, Murray's a little bit further back this time, Brian, to what he was. So it's going to be interesting as he gets a little bit sideways. Now, this is the advantage that Chin needs to try and get away. The gap is over a second, and Murray will not be able to get all of the draft that he needs. He will be able to close it down just a little bit, but you can tell Ryan Murray is pushing a lot there. And that hurts him, and Holgate's on the outside, and you can see how fast Holgate is. He's on the outside, he completes that pass, and in one lap, Ryan Murray goes from leading down to being in P3, and look at the gap between those two drivers at the line. 1/1000th of a second.
Wow, incredible, great comeback by Holgate, and I wonder if maybe Murray has run such low downforce that, contact behind them. We got Dennis Gareis off the track, and he is in the middle of the track. Can everybody avoid him? Yes.
Yeah, and you also had Frank Levesque there, Frank Levesque as well, who was involved in that incident, and that is stacked up, and here comes Koenig on the inside of James Wimbanks. The replays up from the screen for that incident. They're almost 3 wide. Meanwhile, between the two Aussies as they came through turn number 7 on the racetrack, Matt Cook is thinking, I might have a bit of this as well, as they come down into 8 and 9 once again. But the incident between Levesque and Dennis Gareis, that all happened coming through turn number 2. It looks as though that Gareis, actually Levesque just got himself sideways, and Gareis had nowhere to go. And bad luck again for Dennis Gareis in this series. Just not going well for him as he's back on the outside and he's bringing that car onto pit road.
Got to think maybe some wing damage there for sure. Be interesting to see if maybe he can pit. Ooh, and he might be getting a speeding penalty there. He came in really hot. We'll have to see how long his pit stop is.
Yeah, let's have a look, see what his time was at the line. The cones are very early here. He does get it down, actually. He just got it down. He hit the bump, which unsettled the car. So he actually almost missed pit entry completely, but he is on pit road. Now, one thing we do need to talk about is Tim Holgate's last lap, a 1:14.769. Joshua Chin was 1/10 of a second faster. Ryan Murray is dropping back in a big way. It does look as though he's really overworked those tyres in this first stint. And in fact, it won't be long perhaps before Swimbanks will start catching Murray at the rate that he's going, because Murray is taking a lot out of that car, but he was very close actually to the rear of Holgate as they work himself through 11. He might get a chance now to leap back ahead of Holgate, and Holgate must have had an incident. There's clear daylight now between himself and Joshua Chin. Murray's going to look down to the inside. The answer is going to be yes, it is. And the two draft masters at this track here today swap positions once again. Murray is back up into P number 2. Holgate back down to P3, but don't give it up just yet. Here comes Holgate once again, and he stays behind. You saw he just flipped the throttle there, and that allowed Holgate. We're going to go side by side into turn number 1. Just trying to figure out what happened to Tim Holgate though, and I think it might just have been he was negotiating traffic at a bad place, and he ran a little bit wide through turn 7.
A little bit wide, and that has allowed the lead. For Ryan Murray, he caught Mark Schutte in a bad spot. That's going to probably cost maybe a quarter second. And right now, Joshua Chin's lead is 3.5 seconds, and really, for Chin set up to work, he needed this. He needed to break away, because as long as anybody was within 1 second, he would not have been able to withhold an attack on the straightaway. So he's going to have to keep digging on these laps to build up that advantage. But got to wonder if maybe both Murray and Holgate have burned their tires up, as Murray is just now drifting around the corners through turn 11 there.
Matt Cook, in the meanwhile, he had an incident down in turn number 1 with Anthony Koenig, and he now has some pretty substantial rear wing damage on that number 6 Aero X racing car. So your championship leader has fallen down now into 9th position. He was running 5th at the start of this lap, and Matt Cook is struggling now. The top line's being for downforce and pretty much everything. In fact, he's going to have David Sockrider all over him before too long, and Cook really is struggling for top line speed. Only 176 miles an hour as he comes past the track. Sockrider is a full 6 miles an hour faster. And there was a battle for position, I believe, around them as well. This is Courtney Terrell and Frank Levesque now battling for position. And it does look as though that Terrell was able to hold off the charge there from Frank Levesque. I have to say, for a road race, we've got a car off track as well. That is Dave Jinks in the number 76 Broken Arrow car. But great battles going on around the racetrack. And of course, lap traffic is playing its part in that as well.
It's playing its part, and when you have 31 cars and only about 1 minute 15-second laps, this is a very, very busy road course for sure. And right now, we usually don't mention them till the end, but both Courtney Terrell and David Sockrider having a good race. Want to mention David Sockrider because we usually don't mention him till the last lap, and that he got a top 10, but he's currently running 9th, having a good race, and he is on the move and potentially going to be battling Frank Levesque here, but he does have 2 lap cars in front of him at the moment.
Indeed, yes. And so we're right now working ourselves on lap 14. To give you an update on the pit window, by the way, we're looking at somewhere around 19-ish laps. Some guys will come in a little bit earlier. Pit window open from anywhere from about lap 16 to lap 20 in my eyes. Everyone is going to be looking for a clear 2-stop race here today. So no real differences in strategy. Run through your top 10. Joshua Chin's now been able to eke out a 5.1 second gap over Ryan Murray in the battle for the race lead. We've got a car on pit road, and that is Randy Crosno, who is running 15th. A bad day here for Crosno in that 10 car, and he's making an early start on lap number 14. Ryan Murray is running in the 2nd position, 5.1 seconds behind your race leader. Tim Holgate a further 1.5 seconds back in the number 6 car. James Swimbanks now up into the 4th position. Anthony Koenig in 5th. Then it's Courtney Terrell, Frank Levesque, David Sockrider, Michael DeTemple, and then Matt Cook round out your top 10. List of retirees so far: Terry Mattinson, Vic Tordrell, Dave Jinks, Mark Schutte. I have to say, Dave Jinks is actually still circulating on the racetrack, as is Vic Tordrell. So it's only Terry Mattinson who's officially classified as out of the race. But Chin, as it was last week, middle stage of a run, Chin is flying 114.8 that last time by. That would have put him in 5th place in qualifying that last lap, and his fastest lap was only about a 10th slower than what he qualified with, and that would have put him in 4th place on the grid.
Just absolutely flying, and unfortunately for Murray and Holgate, they had to keep at it, because if they could have kept passing him on the straightaway, they would have been able to hang with him. Chin wouldn't have been able to build up this advantage, and right now definitely looks like that maybe a little bit more downforce in the infield is paying off sacrificing a little bit of speed on the straightaway. Right now, the gap is 5.4 seconds.
Checking in on the battle for P15 very quickly. Come back, just trying to figure out what is going on, but down in the mid-pack there is quite a lot of action going on right now. Randy Coursner is back onto the track, by the way, and he's got a lap down to your race leaders. And also to give you an update on Matt Cook again, he is struggling right now, and he's been caught by Eric Davis. Eric Davis last time 117.6, Matt Cook a 120.7. It is now into survival mode for our championship leader, and if the race was to end right now, Holgate would take the championship lead back from Matt Cook as we head towards the Indy 400 in 2 weeks' time.
And I have to think Holgate spotters are going to let him know that. They are going to let him know that Matt Cook is now, his car is wounded. He is bleeding positions. And Holgate last week, middle part of the race, it was sideways after spin after sideways. Right now, let the race happen. Don't push it. Don't go after Murray super hard. Keep the wheel, keep the car pointed in the straight line, and hopefully he can do that for Holgate. And Matt Cook, though, how many positions is he going to bleed? Eric Davis is catching him, and it is a little bit of a gap back to Paul Jenkins, but for Matt Cook right now, so aggravating. I'm sure emotionally he's going to have to maintain control. His lap times. Joshua Chin's on pit road, so I need to interrupt you. Joshua Chin is on pit road, and Brian Trost is on pit road as well. But moving on, Ryan Murray also on pit road, Holgate on pit road, so everyone is coming in at a conclusion of lap number 17. Anthony Koenig pitted 1 lap ago, but they're all onto pit road. Doesn't look as though there's any speeding penalties so far from those drivers. Matt Kingsbury is exiting pit road as we speak, and this is that busy stage of the race where we'll see all these guys on pit road. Sock Rider right now on pit road, as is Swimbanks, and it's a very long pit road here, 55 miles an hour. Brian Murray and Brandon Trost are going side by side on pit road. That won't end well, but Murray is into his pit box and nicely in there, little bit hesitant, but Josh Chin is out already, and that shows the gap between those two drivers right now. Big gap and a very good stop by Josh Chin. I think he is going to extend that lead. He got in and out very nicely there. I do think this gap is going to increase by at least a second. Currently sitting at 6.5 seconds. We'll have to wait till they get back around. But Joshua Chin leaving off where he, keeping where he left off last week. Now 6.5 seconds and winning, running away. But this track, lots of lap traffic. Don't give him the win quite yet.
Indeed, yeah. And with Ryan Murray, so he was a little bit hesitant getting into his pit box. I'm wondering whether he lost any time at all when he was going side by side with Trost on pit road as well. But to give you an update of other people on pit road, a lot of people coming in or are just exiting pits. Jenkins just left the pit, McBride has just left the pit, Schaefer just left the pit, John Porzick exiting pit road right now, Vietonen is on pit road in his pit box, Kerry Bettenhausen is exiting pit road, and Joe Brandt is just exiting, as is Brian Simpson. Mark Schutte is in, and Courtney Tell is coming down pit road, as is Frank Levesque and Matt Cook.
So everybody seems to have, Terrell and Levesque. So Terrell is going to be credited with 1 lap led, and the gap between, let's see, as they cycle through here,
7 seconds.
We're now up to about 7 seconds between Chin and Murray.
Indeed, yeah. We'll get confirmation of that the next time they come past start finish line, but it's about 7-ish seconds on the racetrack between those two drivers. That make it to be 7.2 seconds. But importantly, Murray has been able to break away from Holgate. That gap is now up to 3 seconds on the racetrack. And also, Holgate has got himself a 10-second cushion right now over James Swimbanks, who will be in a net 4th position once his pit stop cycle has gone through.
So for a exciting first 10 laps now, Joshua Chin in state of cruising. All he's got to do now is keep the car straight, negotiate traffic, and just keep clocking these amazingly fast. He's almost in qualifying mode right now.
He really is. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. That is Joe Branch who's going to put a lap down. And actually, there are certain parts of this racetrack you don't want to catch drivers. For example, the first, from about turn 3 through to turn 7, not the best place to catch a car. Also through the turn 8, 9, 10 complex. Do it on the front stretch. Get yourself a bit of a tow. Actually, your lap times will improve just a little bit. And to give you an update on his fastest lap, Josh Chin, it was a 1:14.567, which would put him on qualifying in 4th place, just actually 3/100ths of a second behind what Tim Holgate qualified with. And that is the fastest lap of the day, by the way, for Joshua Chin. Holgate was about 2/10ths of a second slower on his fastest lap, but it does seem to be that though Holgate and Murray lose a lot of time into the mid and late run part of the session.
Oh, Ryan Murray, Brian Simpson spun in front of a big group of cars there and was avoided by all, but a scary moment for Ryan Murray. I was just about to say, not only is the gap 8.3 seconds, but there are about 3 or 4 lap cars in front of him. We just lost one of them, but that spin has allowed Holgate to now catch Ryan Murray, so we are going to have a battle for second place as we have 2 lap cars going side by side right in front of him with a car going off. I believe that would be Brandon Trost, and now that's going to catch Holgate out, so now Holgate's going to be on the losing end, and that's going to allow Ryan Murray to extend up by about a second almost.
Brian Simpson is off the racetrack again, and as you say, Brandon Trost is being off as well. Moving on, it does look as though that has allowed Tim Holgate to really come back into play over Ryan Murray. The gap is now between those 2 drivers only about 1.3 seconds on the racetrack. Holgate got a good tow there down the front stretch as well. That will help him out just a little bit. Marco Beaton, by the way, has gone down a lap in that 777 car, so really not going his way. He's returned to the 16th Street Racing League, Aaron.
Yeah, something I didn't see what happened,
Murray
but
sideways.
obviously contact at some point in time, and Murray now right on Holgate, so after being down quite a bit, he is right there. He's caught up 1.3 seconds in just 3 turns.
Yeah, so Holgate all over the rear of Ryan Murray now, and this is the battle for second position. Of course, this has championship implications as well. Every position Holgate can get, he gets more championship points. He's then going to be a lot easier to overtake and potentially gain a big advantage over Matt Cook. By the way, Matt Cook is still classified in the 9th position. He was able to eke out, actually, a bit of a gap due to that sequence of pit stops. And his lap times have improved a little bit as well, back up to 1:16. So it does look as though he's been able to get some of that damage to the rear wing repaired on that number 66 car. And that last lap, he was able to eke out a full second over Eric Davis. So don't completely write Matt Cook out of the championship lead just yet, but Holgate, he does really want to get past Ryan Murray.
That he does, and not only that, thinking long term, Joshua Chin, if he keeps winning races, Holgate's gonna have to start getting seconds, and this battle for second long term is important because Josh Chin is going to become a factor if he can keep this just absolute beat down on the road courses.
By the way, you just saw some action between Dennis Gareese and Courtney Terrell. They've been battling for 5th and 6th position on the racetrack. Gareese able to get himself past the number 18 car of Courtney Terrell as they worked themselves towards the start finish line that last time by. And for Gareese, of course, he qualified in 5th. He had a terrible start after that incident with Levesque, put him down a little bit. Now he's getting himself back into the groove. However, Frank Levesque, who say after a good start, has fallen back now to 8th position on the racetrack and is battling with David Sockrider. So, 2 very good talent, but it does seem to be that bad luck came into play there as well. And that all started, of course, with Levesque going sideways midway through that first run and Gareese having nowhere to go.
Shades of Sebring for Dennis Gareese, of course, back at Sebring. Josh Chin got a little bit sideways. Dennis Gareese had nowhere to go, and that eliminated both drivers from competition. And so for the road courses, or for when we have seen Dennis Gareese, things just outside of his control just seems to catch him at the absolute worst possible time.
To give you an update, by the way, Anthony Koenig had some brake issues, which is why he is now classified as 4 laps down and out of the race. Tim Miller is also out of the race as well. Big Cordwell is scored 3 laps down, as is Brian Simpson. We talked about him going off a little bit earlier on. And a couple of cars now scored 2 laps down. Mark Schutte, Dave Jinx are both 2 laps down. And the cars 1 lap down. Randy Crosno, Brandon Trost, Marco Beaton, and Joe Bryant and Matt Kingsbury. We're not going to see, I think, just 2 or 3 cars on the lead lap. I think we'll get a little bit more. And that's one of the things about this race. The field spread has been a lot shorter than what we had at Barber. I mean, you have a look, you had your top, how do I put this? So your top 9 drivers separated by 1 second in qualifying. The next 9 drivers were separated by a second in qualifying. So 20 drivers separated by 2 seconds. Over a 50-lap race is 100 seconds. So, I mean, we do expect to see a lot of people finishing on the lead lap here today.
Yes, we do. But Josh Chen, really, his consistency, lead now from Chen to Murray, 10.8 seconds. Right now we're sitting at 17 cars on the lead lap, but John Porzak is either this lap or next lap probably going to fall into the clutches of Joshua Chen and going a lap down. So, wow, Josh Chen's race pace, he just ran the same laps every single time. And that's one thing in qualifying you might not get a judge of. Sometimes people can be a little bit faster, but in terms of putting down 20, 30 laps in a row, Josh Chen right now really showing he's got that ability.
Indeed, yeah. And that consistency is a critical thing on a road course. And I've been having a look at his laps, and it has been pretty good consistency-wise. He did have a bit of a bad lap that last time. Did it 1 minute 16.0 pretty much. This time it's back to the 1 minute 15.1s, and that's kind of where he's been hovering when he's, you know, not had traffic to deal with. Low 1 minute 15s, and very consistent running for him. And of course, he's probably taking it a little bit easier now. He's been able to eke out a bit of an advantage, and Ryan Murray's having to go through a lot of traffic right now as he just gets himself past both Joe Branch and also, I believe that was Dave Jinks as well. And Ryan Murray's got an issue. I think he's collected one of the cones at turn number 1. He's allowed Holgate to go past.
Yeah, he cut the corner thinking the lap cars, and that cone now comes from out from underneath the car, but that has cost Murray a lot of time, and that's going to have huge championship implications as now Tim Holgate is in second by about 2 seconds.
That is huge, and for Holgate there, I mean, that must have just been a gift, and it all comes back down to that pressure we were talking about. And Holgate was putting the pressure on Ryan Murray. The gap was about 6 tenths of a second between those drivers for quite a while. And eventually, Murray just took a little bit too much of turn number 1. Had to slow that car down. Had the cone incident as well. And for Ryan Murray, it's now the 3rd step of the podium for him once again.
And 3rd, which he said last week he was really hoping to be higher up on the podium. But right now, he's going to have some work to do if he wants to achieve that.
Replay is up on your screen, and you can see when they come down to turn 1, there are cones that line the track. Now, if you have more than half of your car on the inside of that coned area, that is when the officials make you slow down and give back the time that you would have gained. So for Ryan Murray, that was very costly, and I'm having a look at it's actually closer to 3 seconds the gap between Holgate and Murray right now.
And for Holgate, that's exactly what he's going to want. He really now 12.3 seconds behind Joshua Chen as Kerry Bettenhausen's off in front of him, and Kerry's spinning, and he's going to get that car off the track, so Murray's not going to have any issues there. But for Holgate now, he's got to really think about points, not push it, don't try to catch Chen, and just try to keep this gap with Murray what it is or grow it.
Let's check in right now on a battle for P11 and P12 on the racetrack between Nell McBride and Paul Jenkins. McBride in the 12th position, Jenkins in 11th. And Jenkins, again, having a pretty good race. And, of course, last week at Barber, he had a very good race. One of his best finishes in 16th Street in a long time. And he is having an okay race here today. He's outside the top 10, but, of course, the attrition rate has been a lot lower than it was last week. But he has got that 41 car all over the rear of him. And if you have a look at the lap times, last time, McBride a 1:16.4, a 1 minute 16.8 there for Paul Jenkins.
And now McBride, we at this point in time don't know who has what type of aero package, but if now McBride does have a lower downforce setup, he may be able to, as he gets through that corner really well. Let's see how they come onto the banking, but if he has a lower downforce, he is within striking distance, but we will find that out here in just a moment.
Indeed, and this is going to be the interesting part. And we know what the target is now for kind of straight line speed. McBride has actually got a pretty fast car. He's already up to 182 miles an hour. He will go to the right-hand side, and this should be easy work. He should be able to get himself past Paul Jenkins, who is struggling to get up to 180 miles an hour. McBride moves himself up into P11 on the racetrack, but a big slide there by him to turn number 1.
Big slide, and when you do carry that speed, And entering on the inside is very easy to sort of overcook, and of course running lower downforce you are going to have more of those slides, but he keeps it together and moves into P11.
And that does seem to be the case when you've got a car with low downforce behind a high downforce car. That effect is always more profound, and we were looking at what, 7 miles an hour difference between those two drivers, and it's probably about 4 miles an hour more for McBride than what he was saying. And yes, for people watching, that's only 4 miles an hour. However, the effect that has on your braking point, the amount of air that's going over the car, the brake pressure that you have to put into that brake pedal, it all changes. And of course, ideal circumstances, every single lap, same point. When you're coming up behind another car in the draft, you're passing someone, it's slightly different.
And it's even more so when you are off your normal line. These drivers practice maybe hundreds, some drivers maybe even more than that. Practice lap after lap, practice their braking points, picking up visual markers of where to apply the brakes in. When you're on the inside, when you're off your normal line, it is very easy to sort of get maybe just a few yards, maybe 10, 20 yards past where you're normally braking. Add the fact that you're doing 4 miles an hour more, and oftentimes you can make a pass and then go sailing right off the racetrack and give that position right up.
And of course, that is why it is racing, because otherwise, if we were just talking about who is the fastest guy, then it would be a case of, okay, we'll all put you onto the track one at a time, you do 100 laps, and the fastest guy over 100 laps is going to be the winner.
Oh, no, McBride's sideways, and he's going to keep it straight, so Paul Jenkins is going to move back into 11th. Great save by Nell McBride to keep it off the guardrail on driver's right, coming on to the back straight.
Yeah, that was very close. He got himself just touched the grass, and I think that actually helped him turn the car back around, but also, he lost position there to Mark Schaefer, and in the process, so a big loss there for Nell McBride. He's going to have a lot of work to do over the next couple of laps. And also, for Joshua Chin, I think he actually just caught one of those cones as well. I'm wondering if that's going to have any impact on his car and its handling. We'll find out the next time he comes past the start or finish line. But Chin, despite the fact he is now leading this race by over 10 seconds, he is not giving up at all. He is still really pushing it.
Really pushing it, and really you've got to. You never know when you can hit a stretch of lap cars and lose a second, 2 seconds.
It has impacted. It has impacted him. His top speed is well down on what he was doing earlier, and his acceleration is well down. Last time by 1 minute 17 for him.
And let's see what the gap goes. The gap was 11.6. This time it's 10.3, so 1.3 seconds gained by Tim Holgate. So we're going to have a race in our hands.
We are indeed. And for Joshua Chin, again, it looks as though that maybe one of those cones actually just got stuck underneath the body. I can't see anything on my screen, but if he's run over something, he's damaged something, it really is affecting either the airflow of that car or the acceleration. It could be a mechanical issue, and that might also have some potential overheating issues for him long term as well.
And we saw it's very easy to damage the underside of these cars. That's what happened to Holgate last week when he went off in the chicane. He hit the grass, then the dirt, and damaged the underside of the track, which hindered his top speed by about 5-6 miles an hour. And if that's happened to Holgate right now, or sorry, Chin right now, that's been his advantage. Let's see what his top speed is this time, as he's now 100. That car's really struggling in the banking to gain speed.
It really is, and I tell you what, it's a full 10 miles an hour at that point that Holgate is faster, and it is almost 10 miles an hour by the time they come down into turn number 1. That Joshua Chin is slower than Tim Holgate. 116.5 last time by for Joshua Chin. Now, of course, they might be able to sort something out on the pit stop, but the pit stop window isn't open for another 4 laps or so. And at that point, Chin will need to come in and have enough fuel to go to the end. Maybe he's going to have to make that stop a little bit earlier now to see if they can get any repairs done to that race car.
He's going to have to pit as soon as he can. He lost another 1.3 seconds, so back-to-back laps at 1.3 seconds. So now if they don't get that car fixed, this race is going to come down between Holgate and Murray, and that gap is only 2 seconds. So, wow, a lot of drama.
Murray's closing up to the rear of Holgate. Yeah, Murray's closing up to the rear of Holgate by about a couple of tenths of a second a lap right now. So this race has turned itself on its head once again. Of course, for those of you who are just joining us, we are now working on lap number 31, heading on to lap number 32. of round number 7 of the 2013 16th Street Racing League. It is the 16th Street Racing League Indy Grand Prix. And Ryan Murray started this race on pole position, Joshua Chin second, Tim Holgate in third. At the start of the race, Murray was leading, and Chin was able to get past him in the end. There is a car on pit road. Is that? No, I believe that's Vic Cordial actually on pit road. It's not Joshua Chin. Pretty similar paint scheme between those two cars. And then Chin was able to get to the race lead. Murray fell back into third as his tyres went off in the latter stage of that first run. But now, with this all happening, Joshua Chin is losing about a second to a second and a half every single lap. Holgate is catching Chin. Murray is catching Holgate. This could be interesting. It's all going to come down to pit stop. Get a good pit stop, you're right back in the game, and then also that final dash to the line.
Going to come down, and another question is, can they do anything to Chin's car? Will the pit crew be able to fix whatever damage? Maybe a wing is slightly bent that we can't see. If they can fix that, he's right back in the game. But I think the second he can pit and make it to the end, he has to make that pit stop. He has to. At the same time, I don't know if Holgate and Murray are aware of Chin's situation. But Murray now, if he can keep within Holgate, he has a chance at this win. Holgate, who is losing ground to Chin, now he has a chance. So now 3 drivers all with a shot to win, and let's hope they can fix Chin's car. If not, Holgate or Murray's going to benefit greatly, for sure.
They are indeed. And this pit window will be open in about 2 laps time. Gap is now down to 5.5 seconds. And I think Holgate's caught wind of this, and he started to push. And also, Ryan Murray is not able to gain as much as he was the previous couple of laps. Of course, we know how much Murray's tyres go off towards the end of the run. So that's something that we're going to have to bear in mind over the next couple of laps as well. In the mid-pack, Dennis Carisse really has fallen down the order now. And he is running in the 12th position behind Mark Schaefer. Has something else happened to Carisse over the last couple of laps?
Perhaps it did, or maybe we saw how much speed he had. Of course, he did have that contact earlier, but got to wonder if maybe with that setup, perhaps tires, maybe some wing damage, or let's see, trying to look at the rear wing. Looks good, so maybe something that we didn't see perhaps happened to him.
Yeah, and he did pit early. He pitted on lap 30, so he will have to pit one more time in this race as well. You can't make this fuel tank last 20 laps because he is sideways into turn number 1. However, he is really pushing it. I think he knows now he's going to have to pit again, and he is going gang-ho to try and minimize the impact of that. But in that mid-pack still, we have great battles going on with cars on different laps. We've got a couple of cars on pit road, and James Swinbanks is the first one to blink the second time around. He is on pit road. We've got some passing going on potentially as well. In fact, no, that's lap cars, and Chin is in. Chin is in. And also, I saw a couple of other cars coming up pit road. That is Michael de Temple as Mark Shooter. It's all crazy down at turn 1. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the important thing is Chin is in and out. Critical time now for Josh Chin.
Critical time. We'll get a gauge this lap on if whatever damage there was got repaired. If not, I don't see a way he can win this race. His advantage was on the straightaway, or sorry, in the infield. He was already slower, and now being slower, and and such an unfortunate break to dominate this race and to have an issue with the cone like that. That's gonna unfortunate, but in about 30 seconds we'll know just the extent of the damage, if they repaired it or if his car is going to be still slow.
And there are some people who are going to say, well, at the end of the day, he put himself into that circumstance. And in some ways, you're right. Because of the fact, of course, these drivers will try and find any part of the racetrack to get themselves a bit more speed. And for Joshua Chin, of course, that bit more speed was taken. Turn number 1, he's all over the rear of Mark Shooter. I believe Shooter's on to pit road. A little bit faster. A little bit, but not much.
Not much. Maybe 1, maybe 2. So this race right now, if you ask me, is going to come down between Holgate and Murray.
And for those of you just joining us, it is down here, turn number 1, which is the issue factor. He's taken a very wide line this time by. He's going to come past the lap traffic there. That's one of the Kingsburys. But, I mean, it's that thing, you know, drivers will try and find every opportunity, but there are cones at that part of the racetrack for a reason.
for a reason. If they weren't there, drivers, well, if you give drivers any bit of, if they make any bit more the track wider or the apex, give a little bit of payment there, drivers are going to use every single ounce, every single inch, every single bit of the track they can use. And that's why there's cones there. And we're going to report Holgate is now in the pits, and that's going to be interesting to see where Murray comes out. Murray now currently in the turn 9-10 section, so this could be the battle for the lead.
Indeed it is. Holgate is in. There's a number of cars in as well. You've got Paul Jenkins just coming out, Mark Schaefer just coming out, Eric Davis just leaving pit road. Very close battle between those guys. I'll come back to that in a little bit as Marco Beaton is also onto pit road. Joshua Chin is coming past the start-finish line. Let's see where he is in relation to Tim Holgate. And Holgate looks like he is just going out and away. So the lead will go back to Joshua Chin for the time being, by the look of it. In fact, yes, it will indeed. That gap is a lot closer than what it was. And it's 1:15 there, 0.5 for Joshua Chin. So, just having a look at his lap times from earlier on, he's about half a second slower, but he might be able to have got away with that.
Yeah, he was on the last part of that previous run was in the 16s. So maybe they did fix it just a little bit. We did say his car was a little bit faster, and it could be that just little bit that might be enough. But now Holgate knows that Chin is a little wounded, and that's going to allow Holgate mentally to think, okay, I got this. Just run my line, run my marks, run perfect, don't make a mistake, and I've got this. We'll get a judge here on the gap as they come through the line this time by, just how close we are.
Yeah, and for me right now, the critical part of it is he has to work himself through turn number 13. Joshua Chin, 170 miles an hour. He is clearly faster than what he was. Holgate is about 2 miles an hour faster for that section. Joe Branch is coming in side by side right now with Courtney Terrell onto pit road, but it was a 1 minute 41. That was an outlap there for Holgate. Joshua Chin at 1:14.9. I think Holgate, Chin is back in control of this race right now. So a lucky break there for the guy who won last time out, who's looking to make it back-to-back victories in the 16th Street Racing League. Not many drivers have the opportunity to do that, and Joshua Chin is looking to do it here today. A very lucky break for him, though.
And I think it's very good for him to have made that pit stop when he did. If he would have done the full fuel run, I think that would have allowed Holgate to take the lead. So very heads-up driving there to pit as early as he could, because if he would have waited, I think Holgate would be the leader right now.
Ryan Murray did lose out quite a bit, though, in that sequence of pit stops, and he is now a full 5 seconds behind Tim Holgate. And again, for Ryan Murray, it's the last 5 laps of a run that he really struggles in. We saw that on the first one, and again on the second one, having a look at his lap time, they really weren't that great for Ryan Murray. So, seems to be, of course, this is a shorter run to the lane now, so if Holgate does have any issues, Murray is going to be able to pound. But it does seem to be that low downforce that Ryan Murray has run, he's got the highest top speed of anyone in the speed trap, but it is coming at a big price for him.
It is, and Tim Holgate did gain 1/10, which I still think Tim Holgate is going to be faster than Chin. Tim Holgate had some lap traffic coming onto the banking, and it probably cost him a second. Meanwhile, right now, Joshua Chin negotiating traffic, gets around Brandon Trost, who is running 22nd, and in front of Chin now 2 more cars, but now Tim Holgate, for every car Chin passes, Holgate's going to have to negotiate. And I'm going to wait for a lap, as we've now got 12 laps to go, waiting for a lap when both drivers have a clean track to get a judge on who is faster. So far, since they've come out of the pits, we have not had that.
We'll give you an update on Matt Cook. He's been able to get himself up into 8th position in this race, of course. Part of that is due to the fact that Anthony Koenig is now out, which promoted Matt Cook up 1 position. But as I was saying before pit stop, there's a great battle we haven't been able to talk to you too much about between Eric Davis, Mark Schaefer, Paul Jenkins, and also to an extent Michael DeTemple. These guys have been very closely separated here today, and it all comes down to, you know, how do they negotiate traffic, and also who's the luckiest and the best and pit in and pit out. And it seems to be that out of that battle, Eric Davis and Mark Schaefer have got the better of it. As we got 3 wide there, Eric Davis, this is through turn number 2. This isn't on the oval, boys. You've got Dave Jinks, Mark Schutte, and Eric Davis 3 wide through turn number 3. That is crazy stuff.
Oh, wow. That 3 wide could be shades of in 2 weeks when we hit the oval, but 3 wide on the road course and being able to get out the other side, that's good stuff for sure.
Yeah, I think those people were practicing their 3 wide start there. It's about the same speed they'll be doing it. Of course, we're just turning in the wrong direction to do so. But it's a great battle in that mid-pack. And again, it's been good racing up and down the field, competitive racing up and down the field. And again, oh no, Randy Crossley just spinning it.
And this is all in front of Joshua Chin, who's now on the back heels of all this battling. So not only are we talking about the mid-pack, but this is going to have implications for our race lead. The gap went down 0.6 the previous lap. It's now down to 3.1. So don't call a winner on this one yet, folks.
And Chin's got people going 2 wide ahead of him. This is Paul Jenkins, who is trying to work on the outside of Dave Jinks. Now, Jinks is actually down multiple laps, and you see he's just getting completely out of the gap to let Josh Chin go past. But Chin would have got a little bit of a draft there. Let's see how he handles. He's going to catch Paul Jenkins at a very bad time there. Jenkins threw up a couple of cones as well. And you see all the way through turn number 3, Chin isn't going to get past through turn 4 either. So this really is holding up Joshua Chin. And of course, there are no blue flag rules here at all. So, you know, Chin is going to have to sit back, and now he finds a way past as Jenkins runs a little bit wide down to turn number 6.
And there's really, for a driver, of course, Paul Jenkins has been fighting with Michael Dutemple. He really just can't lift off the gas and let Chin go. You were saying earlier that is about the worst place you can catch a car through there. That lead car, the car that's about to go a lap down, there is just no real place to just pull over and let him go by. So last lap, Holgate lost 0.7. Perhaps this lap he may gain it back.
Indeed, and it's a fascinating conclusion to this round number 7 of the 2013 16th Street Racing League. Wolverhampton along with Aaron Likens and Raphael Sank. Of course, this builds in as well to the International Light Technologies Road Course Championship, our second road race in a row before we head back to the iRaceForLife.org Oval Championship. In 2 weeks' time, it will be the most prestigious race of the 16th Street Racing League. It will be the Indy 400, and Aaron, that trophy for that race is just phenomenal.
Phenomenal trophy, and last season it came down to the last turn, last lap, and it is the race that these drivers, as we got a issue somewhere.
James Swinbanks and Eric Levike, they're battling very close together, P4. It doesn't look as though they're going to have anything going on between them in these couple of corners, though. And yet, last year in the Indy 400, last corner of the last lap, and everyone wants to win Indy. Period.
They want to win it, and when you put a trophy on the line, and when it's at Indy, really, it doesn't matter the mileage. This race, in terms of road racing, probably going to be one of the more prestigious. It doesn't matter what runs at Indy. Whatever runs at Indy, it's big, it's prestigious, and when you have the marquee event in 2 weeks, drivers that we don't normally see are going to try to qualify for it. It's going to be big, and it's going to come down, I'm going to think, to the last turn, last lap once again, as the drivers are going to do anything they can to win that event. Fuel mileage, bonsai moves, it's going to be, if you just watch one race, that's the race to watch, because it's, last year it was some of the best oval racing we've seen all the way through the field.
And don't forget, the Wooden Day Show will be covering happy hour of both pole day and bump day. For more information, head over to glaciertv.com about that. But in that P4-5 battle, this is actually going to be a position change, perhaps. The bike is faster than Swinbanks as they come back down into turn number 1. Will he be able to get the job done? He has put that car to the inside. He is going to try, but Swinbanks very late on the brakes. And of course, Swinbanks does a lot of V8 supercar racing. Very good on the brakes there, and what is a tight, twisty section of the racetrack. Just able on that outside line to think, okay, you're going to have to brake slightly earlier, I'll brake slightly later, and he was still able to hold the corner.
Hold the corner, and I really thought Frank was going to have a run there. Great bit of braking by James Swinbanks there, and if he's going to want to maintain 4th, I don't think that's the last time he's going to have to pull that move.
There's been an incident, and this is a big-ish incident, actually. I believe Mark Shute, big crash, actually. And Mark Shute was involved. I think, actually, it started with Ray Kingsbury. He turned around there, Brandon Lichtenberg, and they were battling for 14th position on the racetrack. The 12 car, Brandon Lichtenberg and Ray Kingsbury in the number 25. Kingsbury just ran over the rear of Lichtenberg there, and also Brandon Trost came in. He had nowhere to go, and he got turned around as well. And then you had more carnage. Mark Shooter trying to take evasive action, and this was only about 3 seconds ahead of that battle we were talking about, and that has bunched these guys right up now as the battle with Swinbanks and Levesque continues. They have now got to get themselves through these cars and continue their battle.
And for those cars in front of him...
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Levesque, oh, Mark Schutte, damaged car, goes inside and takes out Frank Levesque. Oh, unfortunate way for Levesque's race to end. I don't think that car is going to be able to continue.
And this was... Mark Schutte was doing the right thing, getting that car out of the way, but he was on the rumble strip, and that rumble strip then just turned into grass as it ended, and this is on the exit of turn number 3. And then Schutte on the grass, he just lost all traction, and he just couldn't slow that car down enough. And now it does look as though that Frank Levesque is out of the race, and that is hugely disappointing, because he'd had, after a difficult start, he was having a great battle there with Swinbanks in the latter stages of this race.
And really, he never, ooh, and I would just watch Josh Chin just about run over Mark Schaefer. But for Levesque, there's nothing he can do there. He's focused on Swinbanks. He turns into the corner, and all of a sudden, bang! He probably had no idea, never saw it coming, and that is the worst way to have your race ruined, especially having a great battle. I really wanted to see that battle all the way to the checkered flag.
I tell you what, that would have come down to, I think, the checkered flag, because Swinbanks was slow in a straight line, and it did look as though like Levesque had the speed. And then Dave Jinks actually just holding up James Swinbanks a little bit. I think a bit of a miscommunication between spotters there, as Dave Jinks got out of the gas, and Swinbanks very lucky actually not to run into the rear of him. He had to stamp on the brakes, locked up just a little bit. Run through your top 10. Of course, what this does, it moves Matt Cook up into 7th. This has championship implications. We'll talk about that in a minute. Chin is leading, Holgate 2nd, Murray 3rd, Swinbanks 4th, Terrell in 5th, Sockrider 6th, Matt Cook 7th, Eric Davidson 8th, 9th is Mark Schaefer, and then Paul Jenkins now rounds out your top 10. Cook in 7th, this is stemming the bleeding a little bit, and again, it will end up being not a bad result for Matt Cook at all in this race.
Yeah, not bad at all, and at the start of the season, he said if he can just hang on the road courses, if he can just be there, not have issues, finish consistently, top 10, he would be happy, and right now, after the contact he had, I am sure 7th place he is going to be more than happy with. Up front, the damage is going to be minimized, at least to Holgate, because right now Holgate not really able to close into Joshua Chin. In fact, the lead now 6.7 seconds with coming to about 4 or 5 to go this time. So Holgate's really going to have to pull out a miracle if he's going to want to have any chance at a race victory here.
And it's just while you talking, doing the math. If this race was to end now, then Holgate, because I believe he has led a full lap, he will be 1 point behind Matt Cook going into Indy next week, in 2 weeks' time.
1 point, and not only that, Joshua Chin, he's going to be inching up the standings as well. So, if you take out Chin's unfortunate issue at Sebring and being caught up in a wreck at Phoenix, he could be the points leader, but if he can continue winning races, and let's not forget Courtney Terrell, he's missed 2 races, but he's having a great run in 5th place right now. So, Indy, anything can happen. I'm sure we're going to see a big point shakeup at that track next week. Well, I guess we're at Indy, the Indy Oval for the Indy 400. That race can be very tricky for points because you're going to have lots of split strategies. At some points in time, you're going to be leading. Sometimes you're going to be in the middle of the pack, and so often another driver's incident becomes yours, and you can be out of the race before you know it, much like we saw with Frank Levesque here today.
Indeed, Matt Cook is seeing Matt Kingsbury and John Paulswick battling ahead of him, thinking, please guys, don't wreck ahead of me if you're going to have an incident. But Kingsbury going to look down to the inside. Oh, John Paulswick, and this is for 17th position. And it looks like he will be able to complete that pass down into turn number 1. Indeed, he does. Paulswick tries to hold it on the outside, and he's not quite able to get the job done. Matt Cook's dormitory, and he is going to put Paulswick a lap down to him as well. But out front, the gap is fluctuating between Josh Chin and Tim Holgate. And actually, no, Chin there.
Chin.
Big sideways movement, and that was another cone.
And the question is the cone, did it do damage again? With 3 laps, if it did about 2 seconds worth of damage, wow, we could have a race, but when you have a 7-second lead hitting cones like that, you're risking it.
We will get confirmation. We won't really be able to find anything out on the back straight away. It's not a clear indicator. The acceleration does still look good. Of course, that would have cost him maybe a second there, as he was a little bit sideways, in fact, very sideways from turn number 1 and 2. But this is where we need to pay attention as they come out of turn number 11 once again, which will happen right about now. Can he accelerate through the banking section of this racetrack, or will Holgate have that one final chance with what will be 3 laps remaining at the line to potentially steal race victory from Joshua Chin? It is still a good enough top speed. It does look as though through turn 13, I think Chin dodged another bullet there.
Oh, it's not very often you can get lucky at a race with that. He's dodged a lot of bullets, and wow, as he clips another cone there, that one, though, just nipped, so I don't think that's going to cause an issue. Lead did drop to 6.1 seconds, but with 2.5 laps to go, that's not going to be enough.
Tell you what, though, Tim Holgate, that last time by, set his fastest lap of the race, which is faster than his qualifying lap, in 1 minute 14.496. Now, astonishing pace by Holgate, but it does look as though it is a case of too little, too late, and he is still 6 seconds back with, what, 2.5 laps of this race to go. Barring any major mess-ups for Joshua Chin, it does look as though he's finally just about got this race in the bag.
Yeah, it looks like Chin's car is not handling well. He, don't know if he got on the power a little bit too hard coming out of turn 10, but that car just doesn't look settled now. So I don't know, maybe the cones didn't cause top end speed, but that car really looks unsettled. He only has 2 laps to go now coming to the line, but I don't know. That car just doesn't look right, although he does run a 114.7, so it hasn't affected the lap times, but that car just doesn't look as settled as it did earlier.
And I think he is playing a game of hit the end cone there, just trying to get the one out. But a lap and 3/4 left to go for Joshua Chin, and he will get back-to-back victories in the series. And we have to, you're right, I mean, he started this race 4th in the championship points. He will, I think, just about leapfrog Courtney Terrell come the end of it. So he'll move himself up into 3rd. They can keep those momentum up, of course. Still a lot of racing on both road and ovals to go in the championship. He could be a championship factor at the end. He, of course, had his bad luck early. Some people, you know, they build themselves up. Some people, their bad luck comes to them later on. And for Chin, he's going to have to hope that he has a good second half of the season. 7 guys still scored on the lead lap, but for Joshua Chin, he's going to get himself the white flag in about 20 seconds time. And that is one very lucky guy today in that number 93 car.
If before that last pit stop, if you would have told me he'd be leading right now, I would say no way. He was losing time at 1.5 seconds per lap, but the pit stop, they fixed whatever was wrong with it, and he has gone back out there and has done what he did last week, just pulled off fast lap after fast lap, and not as big of a margin of victory as last time, but 1 lap to go, and John Porzak does pull out of the way there. He does have 2 cars in front of him by about 7 seconds. Shouldn't be an issue, so all he has to do is hit his marks, and he is going to have this race in hand.
Yep, and we did miss an incident earlier on. I just noticed that Dennis Garis is out of the race. There was an incident that happened in the first couple of corners, and this was about 10 laps ago. But for Joshua Chin, he is working himself down the back straightaway for the final time, the Holman George straightaway, which is used as a service road throughout the month of May for the Indianapolis 500. And then they come through turn number 11 now, and it is flat out all the way from here. So long as Chin has enough fuel, he's good to go to the end. Of course, fuel mileage, that's something we're going to have to talk about in 2 weeks' time. But in the here and now, Joshua Chin is going to achieve a feat that not many people get in the 16th Street Racing League. He's going to become a back-to-back winner with victory here in the Indianapolis Grand Prix. The 93 car back to victory road. Tim Holgate comes home in the 2nd position, and we are awaiting Ryan Murray right now, who's in that 3rd position, and he is just bringing that car through turn number 13. He is going to claim the final step on the podium, and Swinbanks is going to come home 4th. Terrell likely going to come home in the 5th position, although Sock Rider and Terrell were pretty close together. Doesn't look as though Sock Rider was able to do anything. Perhaps Terrell had a couple of fuel issues. We'll keep an eye out on that for the last couple of laps. So, couple of moments even. As Swinbanks is now past the line. He comes home 4th. And Courtney Terrell is still in that 5th position with about a 1 second gap over David Sock Rider. It does look as though it will be Terrell who rounds out your top 5, Aaron.
Yep, good run for Courtney Terrell, and as I said earlier, he's a driver that we're not really going to talk about that much at the race, but both he and Sock Rider are always there at the end, and really for Terrell, he did miss a couple races, but don't count him out of the championship. He always seems to find a way to finish these races, and Indy in 2 weeks, or Indy Oval, Terrell just about won that last season, and I'm sure he's going to want to sort of avenge what happened last year, so look for him to be a contender late next week, or sorry, in 2 weeks' time.
Indeed. We'll run through, I believe everyone is now past the start-finish line, and yes they are. We'll run through your final race results. Joshua Chin in a time of 1 hour 5 minutes claims race victory. Tim Holgate is 8 seconds back from him at the end of the race. Ryan Murray a further 16 seconds back. We'll talk about that in a little moment. James Swinbanks in 4th, Courtney Terrell 5th, David Sock Rider 6th, Matt Cook 7th, Mark Schaefer in 8th, Eric Davis 9th, and then Paul Jenkins runs out your top 10. Then it's the Temple, Now McBride, Brendan Lichtenberg, Ray Kingsbury, Marco Beatonham, Joe Branch, Matt Kingsbury, John Porzick, Kerry Bettenhausen, and Randy Crosno. They round out your top 20. Rest results up on your screen momentarily. And that big argument we're going to have coming out of this race was high downforce or low downforce. It did seem to be that if you were close to another car, low downforce was the way to go. However, when all was said and done, I began to say that high downforce was the way to go in this race over a number of full fuel runs, Aaron.
Yes, high downforce definitely won out here today, which only just, if it weren't for the cone issue, would have been a little bit worse. Holgate might have been on top, but the first 10 laps of this race, unbelievable racing between Chin, Holgate, Murray, Swinbanks. It was just great stuff up front, and I don't know, those might have been the best road racing laps I've seen in a very long time. Once Chin, though, got a little bit away from Ryan Murray, he did what he loves to do, check out, but wow, that first stint, that was some amazing racing.
Right, interview time. We will start with Holgate. Tim. Oh, no, we'll start with Joshua Chin, seeing as he's here, and he's the winner. Josh Chin, back-to-back winner. Well done.
Thank you. It was a long race out there.
It almost fell apart for you. You had that incident down at turn number 1 where you had the cone drama of 2013. And I know a lot of drivers, that was that one thing they were worried about coming into this race, cones.
Disconnected.
Were you thinking, this could be the end, I might not win this race after all the work I've put in this week?
It terrified me every time I would see a cone in the middle of turn 1, and eventually I guess I nailed one, and just by hitting it myself, and it got stuck there, and I got lucky that I was able to pit just when the window opened, and I could make it the rest of the way, but it was a really big scare. I'm not gonna lie, that really terrified me.
The race itself, like, qualifying actually was a bit of an issue for you today. You had 3 attempts, but none of them really went the way they went to plan, of course. The one that you first won, you aborted. The second one, you got yourself a little bit loose in the middle of the lap, which did look as though it was going to be your best lap of them all. Then a little bit of lap traffic didn't help you out. How frustrating was that qualifying session?
It honestly wasn't too bad up until the last attempt and the first lap out. I just had someone emerge in front of me and they weren't going as quick, and it's just like, you know, what can you do? It's one of those things, and thankfully I still had the second fastest time already in, but I wasn't able to get the pole like I wanted to and probably needed to get off to a good start because Tim and Ryan were absolutely flying on low downforce, and it was a challenge to get around them.
And of course, you're back-to-back winner now in the series as we go to the biggest race of them all. I'm guessing you're hoping that you haven't peaked too quickly.
Yeah, I know the last 3 race oval stretch before this was really going to be the test of how the season went, and the rest of the season looks to be really good, I think. I'm not too worried about peaking just because I know that I should be able to adapt to what happens, and even if I can't, then I can make some good points out of races that I maybe should be 15 for 20th and can get a top 10 out of.
And as far as the championship goes, this will move you, by our math, into 3rd position in the championship standings. Is it time to start thinking about the championship yet?
Oh, I think so. I think every race I've had the championship on my mind ever since Homestead had a quick car there, and the whole season there's been a lot of speed, and I just have to keep finding it. But Matt had a semi-okay night, so I was able to make up some points, but Tim was right there again in 2nd, so it's hard to make up ground on these guys.
And as the race winner, of course, $5 goes to the charity of your choice due to the partnership with the 16th Street Racing League and iRaceForLife.org. Chosen charity is...
We're going to do the same as last week again. I still can't remember the name. This is really bad.
Orphan Secure, not to worry. And we will see you in Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time. Guy who came home in the 2nd position, Tim Holgate. Now, your day was rather up and down those first 10-15 laps.
Well, let me start off by congratulating Josh on his win and Ryan on the pole. I feel like we came with a car that could have won this race, and kind of missed the opportunity. But they both raced hard, and it was a heck of a race to have with those guys.
And he said that you might have had a car to win. Is that, of course, you had the whole low downforce, high downforce thing that was been going on all week. Was it your opinion that low downforce was going to be the better way to go?
Well, I was definitely faster with low downforce. Otherwise, we wouldn't have run it. I was nowhere near the pace that I ended up running with the low downforce when I was running with the higher downforce, and it gives you the advantage of being able to pass people easier on the straights, and it lets you defend. We just, we just struggled in the beginning. We should have. They had a brain lapse on the first lap there after getting by Ryan, which I was busy chatting on the radio, apologizing because I didn't mean to actually make that dive bomb move into turn 1 on him, and totally missed my braking point and drove it into the grass, which cost me a couple spots. And I think that was all she wrote in terms of our opportunity to win the race.
Of course, so we come from another good stretch where, again, by our math, you are now just 1 point behind Matt Cook. In fact, you are now confirmed 1 point behind Matt Cook in the championship standings as we head over to Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time. Is it really now game on for the championship?
Well, it never was game off. We just had we've only had one bad finish this season at Phoenix from a bit of a goof there where we hit the pavement a little bit too hard on the pit lane or on the pit entry, and all the rest we've had really good finishes. It's just that Matt's had really good finishes and Josh is coming on strong. So we're gonna have to see how it goes with the rest of the tracks where we don't have to deal with cones. I think every single one of us hit a cone today and had that affect at least 4 or 5 of our laps. So it'd be nice to get to a track where we don't have to be avoiding those every lap.
Just pick up on one of those points very quickly. Of course, you talk about a very small incident at Phoenix. Is that what it's going to come down to now? No longer big incidents, but just that small, minute detail on a race-to-race basis is going to determine the championship, do you think?
Well, at the rate we're going, it's going to come down to the last race. And, you always can have a bad race here or there, but because we have drop weeks, you can be afforded a mistake or two where you get a DNF or can't make a race. So we're just going to have to see how it works out. I mean, I know Josh has had a couple of bad races, but those are going to drop off, and then he's going to be right there with his road course wins, and we're going to see where Matt's at with his oval wins, and we're going to have to get some more wins ourselves.
Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Indianapolis. 3rd place driver, Ryan Murray. Now, you led at the start, pole position. It did seem to me, though, that in the middle to late stages of a run, that car was getting wicked loose to drive.
Yeah, it was just a lot of kind of rear mirror driving, like looking in my mirror, noticing Josh was gaining on me a little bit, and then we started dealing with lap traffic, which, first off, I just want to congratulate Josh and Tim on a podium and making the championship closer, but, like, we got to teach some of these oval-only guys a little bit of road course racing etiquette, because a lot of them have no effing idea what they're doing. Like, how do I get raced down the entire straightaway of the oval, and then they're going to hit me or brake and force me through the cones and everything? It's just, you know, I guess I understand why a lot of these guys race only ovals, because it doesn't really take much intellect to race them.
Pipe bomb time. But as far as the race goes, no, I completely understand, actually. As far as the race goes, I mean, lap traffic was a big factor in the race today. Short lap time, high speeds. I mean, if you were going to gently suggest alternatives, of course, with two very long straightaways, you implying that, you know, it's just people being not giving enough speed on the straightaways.
It's the fact that, like, I don't expect to be handed anything. You know, like, I understand it's a race, and by definition you race, but it's like I got behind some guys and they would brake as soon as I was behind them in a twisty bit of the course, and they know, because they're on the same crappy physics that I am in this game, it's that the car is going to slide somewhere, and then they they hit me, and, you know, like, I couldn't believe it. You know, I had one off track by myself, I had a little brain fart early on, Josh racing me. It was awesome. Like, I had so much fun. And then it started falling into lap traffic, and it was just like, I'm not going to name names, you know, like, I understand there's probably a lot of frustration talking right now, but, you know, it's just common sense. Like, bleed the throttle, or don't slam on the brakes when second place is behind you. It's just like, you know, you're not only turning left, you're turning right, and you have to actually press the other pedal.
Let's talk about the positives. Pole position, of course, a big positive for you. And those last 10 minutes of qualifying, when you couldn't improve at all and Chin was trying to attack you, was a huge positive. And again, a podium finish. But overall, did you expect a little bit more from this race? Could you have got this race victory here today, do you think?
I was running, like Tim noted, that we were running in practice, like, you know, high 14s to mid 14s in race pace. You know, it was pretty awesome, but I guess we didn't factor in you know, traffic screwing up the low downforce, where Josh would have been able to go around other cars way easier just because he had higher downforce. So, I mean, I'm happy with third, and I'm happy Tim, who's going to be in the fight for the championship more than I am, was higher than me and got more points as a teammate. But, you know, I'm happy with the pole. I had a 14 flat going, but I screwed it up, and it's just, once again, you know, like, I probably could have got second if I hadn't screwed up, but, you know, I'm happy with third. You know, it was a good run for the team.
And next week we're still recovering from turkey hangovers, but in 2 weeks' time we're going to be at IMS, biggest race of the season. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, actually, like, with Tim and Niles making setups, it's, you know, I understand that I'm not the greatest oval racer, but as I said earlier, you know, it doesn't take much to get around an oval, and I'm going to have fun.
Ryan Murray coming home in the third position. Now, before I go any further, I need to get a beer, but thankfully, James Swinbanks is here.
Yeah, I can grab one of those for you.
So, first race for your season in the 16th Street Racing League. Come home fourth. Good job overall.
Yeah, I'm delighted. I won't lie, I was thinking after practice this morning that like a top 10 would be, you know, something to be celebrated. But man, yeah, fourth place is pretty awesome.
And I know it's a track that you've had ups and downs with over time. Of course, you race in the IndyCar and road courses as well. To have a good finish here got to be hugely satisfying, but you had some great battles throughout the day, especially, of course, the ones that you had in the middle to late stages of this race with Frank Levick before he was taken out, unfortunately, by a backmarker. But it was great racing, and it was very close between these two guys.
Yeah, it was great. Frank's actually an old teammate of mine from long ago, so it was great to see him on track again and be racing with him. He's a pro driver in the F1 series now, so that was great fun. It was unfortunate that he got taken out, actually, because I felt like we were going to have a really good battle with probably was about 10 laps to go or 8 laps to go or something like that. And yeah, it was unfortunate.
And, of course, you are on a part-time schedule. How many races are you going to be running this season, do you think?
Well, I mean, just with my schedule, this could be the only one that I race. So I just wanted to make sure that I got everything I could out of it and enjoy racing with this great bunch of racers that I have so much respect for.
Well, congratulations. 4th place finish there for James Swinbanks. Now, the guy who came home in 5th position the last time he was in Indianapolis, he wasn't happy with the final result, but caught his tail, 5th place on the road course today, starting to fight those demons from a year ago.
Yeah, it was a fun race. Good finish for me. I was thinking in the beginning, starting P10, anything in the top 10 would have been good, but to finish 5th is great. Had an early battle with Matt where I think it was lap 2 or 3 where I dive bombed him a little bit, so I want to apologize for that. But it was a matter of I broke later than him and was gonna rear end him, so I decided to just try to pass instead and ended up clean. So that was good, but it was a lot of fun battling with guys. David catching me at the end, probably a couple more laps, he probably would have had me. I would have been out of the top 5.
Yeah, and you've had to say some good battles again, and those early battles with Matt Cook, the late battles with David Sockrider, in comparison to what we've seen early on some of the road courses when you have been kind of running in a bit of no man's land. But how difficult was it to keep your concentration going throughout this race, again with all the lap traffic going on, with all the incidents going on, and almost you being involved again in a couple of incidents here?
Yeah, it was really difficult. Yesterday in practice, I was thinking that it was going to be difficult, not for me to make mistakes at least. But yeah, it was difficult but fun. Glad I didn't make too many mistakes. I made one where I went off a little bit, but that's about it. So I can't complain about that.
And of course, in 2 weeks' time, we go back to the Speedway, to the Oval. And as far as those demons go, a year removed, are you hoping that you can get yourself to drink the virtual milk this time out?
Oh, I really hope so. That would be awesome. Hopefully I can get some help from my teammates on setup. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, it's the biggest race of our season, and it's always fun.
Terrell coming home in the 5th position. Aaron, have a chat with David Sockrider. I need to get some water.
Okay. David, you had a good run, which one thing about in these broadcasts, you're a driver we just never seem to mention until the end. Do you come out here and that's your strategy, just put down nothing flashy, get a good race setup, and just run your race and don't worry about what other people do?
Somewhat, yeah. The first few laps, I know everyone's going to be loose, so if you gain a spot, cool, but for the most part, it's 50-lap race. I'm setting up for the end of the race. I want to be fast then rather than fast early on. If I can hold close to people and maybe get a spot or two, do through pit stops or whatever, I'll try that. But I work better over long runs, so I get faster then rather than right away. So I always suck at qualifying.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. If we look at drivers that are always gaining positions from where they qualify to where they finish, you're usually one of the drivers that's up there. But how was the lap traffic out there for you this race? Did you catch them in the right spot, wrong spot, patient?
For the most part, okay. I had a couple scary moments, or a couple cars right at the end when I was chasing Courtney, and a couple cars spun off, one on the outside, one on the inside. I don't even know who it was. I was going through and about to go by one of them and then wait for the next corner to maybe go by the other, and they both spun and somehow just threaded the needle right between them and just missed them hitting me.
A close call, and looking forward to Indy in 2 weeks, or rather the Indy Oval in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's another one that's gonna. I love racing it and I love the race, but again, with the qualifying part's the part I hate.
Oh, some drivers qualify well, some drivers race well, and this season you've been having great races, that's for sure.
Yeah, except for the first one. That one wasn't too great. Or the first one for me, Richmond. That one wasn't great for me, but the next one since then have been okay.
So, good run here for you. And let's see, Mr. Will Vincent, have you got your water?
I have. We've got a couple more minutes. We've got a couple more minutes to talk to a couple more drivers, surprisingly enough. And we have Matt Cook in the house. Matt, you keep the championship lead by 1 point, but it's been a tough old day for you, starting, of course, with that rear wing damage.
Yeah, Will, it was a real letdown when that incident happened, but, you know, I kept going and tried to do the best I could, and fortunately was able to hang on to a decent finish, so I'm happy overall.
Now, you qualified 8th, which has been one of your lower qualifying from the road course, more in the pack. Were you worried at the start of the race that you might be involved in any first lap carnage, remembering, of course, the first couple of corners at Indy, which normally leads itself to a degree of mayhem?
Yeah, I was worried, and I was trying to relax a little bit, and that's ultimately what I think almost caused a slight incident between Courtney and I, which it wasn't his fault at all. It was just, you know, the difference of braking points. I mean, it was just kind of take it easy, take it slow, make sure I get through that. Once I'm through that, then I'll start working on getting positions back.
And again, you were able to get yourself into 7th place in the end as we head over to the Speedway part of Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time. It is a track where I know there's a lot of mixed emotions when you were there in May. Are you looking to try and win it here at the 16th Street version? Do you think you can win, and how hard is the competition do you think going to be?
I think the competition is going to be extremely high, especially with some weather conditions that are currently being predicted, and you know, I think it's going to be a lot of fun overall. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and overall, I'm a lot more confident than I was back in May. You know, I've had a lot more experience since then, so it should be a good showing either way.
Championship leader still by 1 point. Matt Cook comes home in the 7th place overall. To run through your top 10 in the championship, Matt Cook has 273 points. Tim Holgate just 1 point back, 272. He's closed that gap right up. Joshua Tim, he is now 67 points back, and he is now ahead of Courtney Taylor by 1 point. John Paulsek is in 5th, Ryan Murray in 6th, Eric Davis 7th, Paul Jenkins in 8th, David Stockrider in 9th, Kerry Bettenhausen rounds out your top 10. And as far as the P25 battle goes, it is now Brian Simpson who's outside the top 25. Christopher Demerit is the guy on the bubble as far as the transfer race goes. But also, you've got 3 guys with 265 points. Mark Schaefer, Nefriark, Mark Shute. Very, very close in that battle to stay inside the top 25 as well, Aaron.
Going to be a close battle, and when we get to the ovals, doing the transfer races, something you just don't want to do because anything can happen. You have a lot of drivers that may be their one track, and they're not in it for points, so they're going to have a go all out mentality. And being inside the top 25, well, transfer racing is something you just really don't want to experience if you don't have to.
And in 2 weeks' time, of course, we come to the big one. It is the 2013 16th Street Racing League Indy 400. And as far as the race goes, of course, it is the most prestigious. But at the same time, in the same way that the Arizona Cardinals compete the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL, any driver can win Indy. Especially if you get a late race caution, or if it comes down to fuel mileage. Or, you know, you just have someone from nowhere dominantly just comes along with a package that works perfectly in the conditions that we're due to have, and turns up and has a great race. Anyone can win at Indy.
Anyone can win. If you start the race, you have a chance. You're right. Fuel mileage. We're going to have so many split strategies. Bad luck can happen. Whenever you may be on a strategy, you may pit, the yellow comes out, you may go a lap down. Drivers around you may make a mistake, catch your tire, you spin out, none of your own doing, you're out of the race. And each driver that falls out, another driver is going to come up to the front. So if you're one of the drivers that start next week, you have a chance to win, and we're not going to know who's going to win that race until that 400th mile is completed.
And of course, last year, controversy as well, when we had the 2 Broken Arrow drivers with the confusion on pit road, which essentially put them a lap down. Shows that anything really can happen.
Anything can happen, and the line is used too much. Anything can happen, and it probably will. And it's going to be a fun show for sure. We're going to be talking about fuel mileage. We're going to be crunching numbers. You're going to have drivers that are going to try to break away from the pack. You're going to have drivers coming from the back to the front. Of course, we saw it last season. Split strategies. Youngo was the master of that. Every time he did something, I said, that's not going to work. He would be back in the pack, and somehow he'd be back up front. So it's going to be great. The action on track is going to be great, but the strategy in the pits, that too is going to be fun to watch.
That will be in 2 weeks' time here on iRacing Brazil. If you want to keep up to date with qualifying for the 16th Street Racing League Indy 400, special episodes of the Will and Dave Show will be taking place in happy hour of both pole day and bump day in the build-up to the race. The race itself will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the 5th of January 2014. First race of the new year. It is going to be a corker, and again, it will be here live for every single lap. We leave the Brickyard for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back. Will Vincent, along with Aaron Likens and Raphael Sank, wishing everyone a happy Christmas and an awesome new year as well. This has been an iRacing Brazil production of the 2013 16th Street Racing League, where Joshua Chin makes it back-to-back victories. The championship, it's closer than ever. There are more drivers who's got a chance to win than ever before. And oh yeah, we're going to the greatest speedway in the world in 2 weeks. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
From Team Target. All the best to everybody at iRacing Brazil.
Simone Silvestro, and I hope all the iRacers in Brazil are having a lot of fun on iRacing.
Hi, I'm Justin Wilson. I want to say hello to all the iRacers down in Brazil. Hope you have fun, enjoy the racing, take it easy.
Hey, I'm Wyatt Gooden, and iRacing Brazil, awesome league. You guys are great, cool league.
Quero mandar abraço aí pro pessoal do iRacing Brasil. Continue jogando aí.
Aí galera, eu sou o Hélio Cássio Neves, fique ligado no iRacing Brasil. Vamos lá, Brasil!
Vamos lá.